Good Friday morning, fellow high seas cruisers, and welcome to today's video. All right, today I want to talk a little bit about third-party excursion tours. Now, these are excursions that you book independently outside of the cruise line. Now, third-party excursions, they do have some positives that go along with them. You could usually get excursions at a less expensive price. You may be able to find excursions that the cruise lines don't offer. So there are good things about third-party excursions. However, there are also some pitfalls. They are not guaranteed by the cruise line. So, for an example, if they are late arriving back to the cruise ship, well, the ship doesn't have to wait for you. And if for some reason, let's say the cruise ship does not stop at that port, it has to skip the port, well, it's up to you and that third-party company to arrange for any type of refund. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, because we have a third-party independent excursion company that has turned out to be a scam for some cruise passengers. Now, this story begins last September 2023, on board the Carnival Legend sailing to Greenland. Carnival Cruise Lines was not offering any excursions for these stops. Carnival said there's not going to be any tours, there's not any shops. These are just small villages, people's homes that you are going to be visiting, that you would have an opportunity to share their lives, and it was going to be peaceful and it was going to be quiet, but no cruise line excursions would be available. Now, an independent third-party travel company called Sandras Cruise Tours, they were offering a cruise excursion that passengers could book. It was going to be an iceberg boat tour. Sandra O'Leary, who was running the tours, she was going to be on board the ship. She was going to make sure everything ran smoothly and that people were going to have an awesome, enjoyable excursion experience. Now, as it turns out, the Carnival Legend, due to weather, was unable to visit Greenland. They simply could not go. Now, this, of course, means that passengers now have to work with Sandra's Cruise Tours in order to arrange a refund. Remember, she's on board the ship. She is telling passengers, hey, don't worry, you are going to get a refund. I'm going to work with you. We're going to make this right. Now, according to the story, one of the passengers had screenshots from when this excursion was booked. Screenshots from the website that says, hey, if for any reason the cruise ship misses a port, your tour will be refunded. So at this point, it seems like it should be a pretty simple process. You booked the cruise tour, the ship was unable to go to the port, you should now be getting a 100% refund. But that's not what happened. Instead, the Carnival Legend was redirected to port stops in Canada. And Sandra O'Leary, who, like I said, who was on board the ship, promising these customers they were going to get their refund, well, she disembarked the ship in the very first stop in Canada, and poof, she was gone. Now, shortly after that, the terms and conditions on the website for this particular cruise tour, well, they changed. They went from, if the ship is unable to dock, you are 100% refunded. Well, those changed. And the terms and conditions now said, well, this cruise tour is 100% non-refundable. Now, from there, it even continues to get more scammy looking. I don't know if scammy is a good word, but it started to look like even more of a scam, because this Sandra O'Leary had worked with approximately 800 people on board the cruise ship to arrange tours. But she's not a tour operator herself. She's just arranging tours for the passengers on board the ship. But they could find no connection between her and any actual tour operators. They could find no credentials for her indicating she had any kind of tour or travel experience. And while not 100% required, I mean, there was nothing. And they checked with actual tour operators there in Greenland, and none of them have a 100% no refund policy if the ship is forced to miss the port. So none of them require that all the money be kept. They could find no connection between her and any tour operators, and she disappeared from the ship at the very first port stop just as quickly as she possibly could. Now, to me, all of this really screams big old scam. Now, this was all last year in September of 2023. You still have cruise passengers almost a year later that do not have their money back. And yes, they did go to the credit card company and disputed the charges, But for a lot of them, that didn't help because the website had changed and said non-refundable. So that route didn't get them their money back either. So what do you guys think? Cruise scam? Not a cruise scam. Were these passengers taken advantage of? And to me, it definitely sounds like they were. Now, this story, of course, is a warning story that if you are going to book any third-party excursion, check them out first. Check out the tour company. Look for reviews. Look for stories from other cruise passengers, people that have used these particular tour companies in the past. Check their terms and conditions. Make sure that they do have a refund policy. The majority of these tour operators, they are familiar with how cruise ships work. They know weather can cause ports to be missed. They know there's reasons why cruise ships can't arrive there, and it's not typical of them to have a no refund policy. Look, they don't want that type of bad press. They don't want cruise passengers to spread the word and say, hey, don't use so-and-so because look, if something happens, you're not going to get your money back. They don't want that type of reputation associated with them because they want the cruise passengers there. They want people to take their tours. So make sure you are doing a little bit of research if you are not going to book it through the cruise line. Booking it through the cruise line is always the absolute safest route because if something happens, the cruise ship can't stop there. It has to miss the port. The cruise line is going to refund you that money and you don't have to worry about it. But if you do prefer booking your own, like I said, check them out first. Do some research. Find out if anybody else has used them before. Make sure they have a good reputation so something like this does not happen to you. I saw a story a couple weeks ago that said travel scams are up by 900%. So there are scammers out there, people that are going to do their best to take advantage of you and take your money. So please just be aware. And one final thing about this story. This, of course, is only from the passenger's point of view. It is passengers telling this story. This Sandra O'Leary, we don't have any statements from her. We don't know her side of the story. I don't know what she could possibly say to make this any better. It's been 10 months since this cruise happened, and these people don't have their money back. According to them, they have screenshots that show the website was changed. I personally think it's a scam. I think these passengers were taken advantage of, but you know what? You guys let me know in the comments below. Scam or not a scam? All right, and that is going to be our video for today. If you've enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't done so yet, do me a favor and hit subscribe. It is free to do so. Helps our channel grow. Let you know anytime we put out a new video. Hope everyone out there is having a really great day. And like always, we will see you out on the high seas.